This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Lone Star Standoff. Good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast. Democrats have fled the state of Texas for Illinois to protest a controversial redistricting bill at the State House in Austin.
This is not about the Democratic Party. It is about the democratic process.
Democrats hope to block passage of the Republican-drawn congressional map. House Minority Leader Gene Wu.
This is absolutely the right thing to do to protect the people of the state of Texas.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott is threatening to vacate the seats of every Democrat who left Texas unless they return to Texas by 3 o'clock this afternoon.
This never ends well for the Democrats. This is another shenanigan they're trying to pull.
RNC spokeswoman Jane Tinkins says Texas is not doing anything out of the ordinary when it comes to gerrymandering.
They do this all the time, and we see it in New York and California. And Republicans should stand strong and not put up with this nonsense. Democrats need to do their job unless they don't want to do it anymore, and then they can lose their job.
Pundits predict the redistricting effort could result in a net loss of 5 Democratic seats in Congress next year. After a lackluster July jobs report, President Trump has fired Erica McIntarfer. She's the now former head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. CBS's Weijia Jiang.
Trump accused her of rigging the July jobs report.
We'll be announcing a new statistician sometime over the next 3-4 days. We had no confidence. I mean, the numbers were ridiculous, what she announced.
William Beach served as the head of the BLS during Trump's first term. He called his successor's firing a dangerous precedent, warning if any weak numbers are released by Trump's next pick.
Everybody's going to think, well, it's not as bad as it probably really is, because they're going to suspect political influence.
That's Weijia Jiang in Washington. The 2025 wildfire season is in full swing now. Reporter Elise Preston says no place is getting it worse than the Grand Canyon.
The wildfire in Arizona's Grand Canyon National Park is now the nation's largest at well over 100,000 acres, reaching mega fire status.
Smoke from hundreds of wildfires in Canada is interfering with our weather. It's causing air quality alerts in New York and Pennsylvania. Meteorologist Leanne Byer.
Smoke is going to continue just funneling in here. So we're likely to see these hazy skies, at least for the next several days.
Emergency officials urging folks with compromised immune systems to limit their time outside today. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu pushing for a military solution now to free the remaining hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. 50 are still there, 20 remain alive. President Trump weighing in on the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
We want the people fed, and we're the only country that's really doing that. We're putting up money to get the people fed.
The White House says it is working on a plan to deliver food and medicine to Gaza. President Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney are set to speak soon about those tough new tariffs imposed on Ottawa. Canada's Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc.
We were obviously disappointed by that decision. We believe there's a great deal of common ground between the United States and Canada in terms of building two strong economies that work well together.
Those comments come after President Trump raised tariffs on Canada to 35%. He says he did it because of the Canadian response to the fentanyl crisis. On strike in the Midwest, 3,200 Boeing workers who build fighter jets for the military have walked off the job. They worked at Boeing plants in Missouri and Illinois. Actress Lonnie Anderson has died. She won 2 Emmys for her role as the feisty receptionist on the hit 1980s comedy WKRP in Cincinnati.
Would you like to see the big guy?
The big guy.
The skipper, the chief, the head honcho, the jerk who runs this place?
Patterson passed away Sunday at an L.A. hospital just 2 days shy of her 80th birthday. Still to come on the Noon Report for a Monday. Hazy sun may be dangerous to some. Shapiro sues Trump over trans surgeries. And a healthy debate about vaccines as the kiddos get ready to head back to school.
Good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Josh Nichols here in the Weather Center, tracking that wildfire smoke and the very dry weather that we're experiencing. I'll let you know if there's any substantial rainfall coming up in my forecast.
All right, Josh, thank you very much. We'll check back with you in about 10 minutes. An air quality alert is in effect across much of upstate New York and parts of Pennsylvania. It's because of smoke from the Canadian wildfires. The young, the old, and those with compromised immune systems are being urged to limit their time outside today. A family of 4 from Buffalo has been killed in a car crash in West Virginia. It happened over the weekend. The dead include Dr. Kishore Devan. He's a prominent Hindu doctor with Kaleida Health in Williamsville.
He and his wife Asha became a beacon of the Indian American community in Buffalo.
The Indian Americans lived in Western New York for more than half a century and were an instrumental part of the Hindu culture in Western New York.
He was an enthusiastic Buffalo Bills fan, holding season tickets for many, many years.
All 4 of the family members were in their 80s. Their vehicle was found down a steep embankment about 20 miles from the Pennsylvania border. A single vehicle accident in Western New York Sunday injured over half a dozen people. Details from Family Life's Dee Haley.
7 people were injured late yesterday morning when the vehicle they were traveling in went off the New York State Thruway and down an embankment near the Angola service area. The car was reportedly found overturned about 150 feet down the embankment. Deputies from the Sheriff's Office SWAT Quick Reaction Force team responded to the scene, along with State Police, Evans Police, and multiple fire and emergency medical service agencies. All 7 occupants were transported to nearby hospitals. Dee Haley, Family Life News.
Thank you, Dee. New York State Police have identified the pilot who was killed in a small plane crash near Hornell last week. It happened about 8 miles from the Hornell airport. 41-year-old Brian Volder was the only person aboard that aircraft. He had taken off from the Brockport area. No word on where he was headed or what caused the crash. The past few years, a number of small private colleges have been forced closed due to financial hardship in New York and Pennsylvania. Those schools include Cazenovia College in central New York and Clark Summit University in northeastern Pennsylvania.
Every institution today is facing these pressures. Enrollment declines are rampant. The cuts that are necessary in order to align the financial model to current enrollments are rampant as well.
Utica University President Dr. Todd Fanistel recently announced that he's had to cut faculty due to decreased enrollment.
We need to evaluate all of our programs and once again realize there are some that students no longer have the interest in pursuing and employers are not really seeking to employ from that, and make the difficult decision on whether or not any of those programs need to be eliminated.
Utica's lost about 2,000 students the past decade. Experts blame a shrinking pool of high school graduates and a changing job market for the decline in enrollment. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro has joined a lawsuit against the Trump administration over its efforts to limit sex change operations on kids. This suit accuses the White House of exceeding its federal authority and undermining state laws that require equal access to medical treatment. Pro-family groups argue genital mutilation, chemical castrations, and hormone replacement therapy is akin to child abuse when it's performed in kids under the age of 18. With less than a month to go before the start of school, experts are urging states to strengthen their school vaccine requirements. This as Health and Human Services Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. cast doubt on the effectiveness of childhood vaccines. Dr. Mary Beth Miato is with the American Academy of Pediatrics.
We're talking about measles, we're talking about whooping cough, we're talking about polio. And these are vaccines that are very old, well tested, and have been in our society for so long that we forget the diseases that they prevent.
All 50 states require children to receive a schedule of 4 vaccines before they can enter kindergarten. The HHS secretaries promised to investigate the safety of those vaccines. In Pennsylvania, parents can get a religious exemption to the mandatory shots. In New York, they cannot.
There is no religion that preaches against vaccines. It's a very easy loophole that's been very difficult to police.
Infectious disease expert Dr. Richard Moriarty. Children who are allergic to vaccines can get a medical exemption in both Pennsylvania and New York. Despite concerns about vaccines, more than 90% of kindergarten students will enter school in the fall fully vaccinated. Ford is recalling more than 300,000 vehicles because of issues with its power brakes. An electronic brake booster module can lose power while driving. Experts say that can increase the stopping distance and raise the risk of you getting in an accident. This recall includes new Lincoln Navigators, the F-150 Expedition, Bronco, and Ford Ranger. Well, all aboard a proposed passenger train linking New York City to Los Angeles has lots of stops planned in Pennsylvania. That's where we find Family Life's Brian Query.
Delaware-based Ameristar Rail has proposed a new transcontinental Amtrak route that would take passengers and even trucks from New Jersey to Los Angeles in just 3 days' time. Called the Transcontinental Chief, the route would bypass New York's Penn Station due to equipment restrictions, but connect through Harrisburg and hit major cities like Chicago, Pittsburgh, and Albuquerque. Ameristar Rail claims its system would cut delays and help make Amtrak profitable. The route could be up and running by May 2026, just ahead of the World Cup. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you very much, Brian. They say dog is man's best friend, and that was certainly the case over the weekend at a state park in Pennsylvania. Family Life's Mark Webster.
Yeah, in this case, the man was a swimmer in distress in Carbon County's Beltsville State Park, and the dog was Kelby, a canine from the American Academy of Canine Water Rescue, who, along with her handler, reached the panicking man in deep water and got him safely into their boat. Park officials say the victim was a bit disoriented, but otherwise okay. This marks the canine team's 4th successful rescue of the season. Mark Webster, Family Life News.
All right, some dog. Thank you very much, Mark. Sports news on the way. It's the 2-minute drill on Family Life.
Bob, the New York teams did not fare so well yesterday, but the Pennsylvanians did. Good afternoon. I'm Randy Snavely. For the first time ever, the Yankees got swept by the Florida Marlins following a 7-3 loss. The Yankees now on a 3-game skid, and the chirping is starting about Aaron Boone's job. So far, management has said Boone is their man, but if New York doesn't start turning things around, how much longer will he be their man? The Giants put a hurt on the Mets 12-4. Frankie Lindor hit a first-inning home run for the Amazons, but after that, New York had little to cheer for. Christopher Sanchez, stellar in his outing against Detroit. He shut them out for 8 innings. Kyle Schwarber hit a home run. The Phillies won it 2-0 and took this series from the Tigers. Spencer Horwitz had a huge day for Pittsburgh, going 3 for 5 with 2 long balls and 6 ribbies. Tommy Pham added a 2-run shot as well, and the Buccos won in Colorado 9-5. Other winners in the American League were Boston, KC, Minnesota, the Angels, and Mariners. Winners in the National League, the Braves, Brewers, and Padres. And interleague victories went to the Dodgers, Cubs, and D-backs. To NASCAR, William Bryan was the man in Iowa. The driver of the number 24 car edged Chase Briscoe by a second to take the checkered flag at Iowa Speedway. Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, and Ryan Preece rounded out the top 5. And get ready, because NASCAR is coming to Watkins Glen this weekend. Just 3 races left during the season. That is a look at sports.
All right, thank you very much, Randy. And still to come on the Noon Report, Texas Dems on the run. New insect in Australia. And the food bank of the Southern Tier.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. Historian and philosopher Will Durant, author of the epic 11-volume series The Story of Civilization, famously said this: "From barbarism to civilization requires a century. From civilization to barbarism needs but a day." Civilizations, historically speaking, do rise and fall. Our museums and history books are full of legends and artifacts from once dominant civilizations that are now reduced to ruins. These were all, at some point, detached from the ideals, the institutions, and the activities that originally gave them life and led them to flourish. But now, they are no more. With all due respect to Durant, the turn to barbarism might be quick, but civilizations do not collapse overnight. Rather, most reach a critical moment from which they do not recover. In the new documentary Truth Rising, scheduled for release Friday, September the 5th, author and social critic Os Guinness describes how and why the West has now reached this civilizational moment. Recently, I interviewed Os Guinness and asked him to explain what this means, especially for Christians. Here's Oz.
Well, back of the idea is the sort of biblical sense of time, generation, year, day, hour, moment, and the challenge of reading the signs of the times, or our Lord's weeping over Jerusalem because, quote, they missed God's moment when they came.
Wow.
You know, I've always had a sense we need to understand the times. Now, civilizational moment, some people are misusing it as a fancy word for the present moment. No, it has a real definition. A civilizational moment is that period, not a day, a period when a civilization loses touch with what made it great. And when that happens, it really faces three broad choices. Either it must renew the civilization, or replace it with an equally adequate one, or decline and fall. Now, clearly, our Western civilization is a Christian civilization, owes a lot to the Greeks and the Romans, but its principal source is the gospel rooted in Judaism. The intended replacement was the Enlightenment. In other words, many of the same Christian truths, but without God, without the Bible, reason and progress without God. And that has failed. And that's why we're at this civilizational moment. Either there's a renewal of the Christian faith, or the West is declining and will fall.
So why Truth Rising? Why now? Why another work that identifies this civilizational moment? I asked Oz these questions, and here's how he replied.
But I think the difference now is there's a widespread sense. It's not just Europe. It's not just America. The whole world is now entangled, embroiled in this civilizational moment as the West declines. So this is an extraordinary moment which calls out the deepest understanding that all of us can bring. And there's nothing deeper than the gospel, than the scriptures. And that's why this is such an exciting moment for Christians.
Truth Rising explains both this civilizational moment and also how Christians can be people of courage and agents of renewal in this time and place. Don't miss the global streaming premiere of Truth Rising, Friday, September the 5th. Visit truthrising.com/Colson. That's truthrising.com/Colson to sign up for updates. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet.
All right, John, thank you. Outside we go. Meteorologist Josh Nichols today.
Here is the Family Life weather report. For this afternoon, more hazy sunshine pretty much from hilltop to lake shore. Not too much of a breeze. And of course, that wildfire smoke creating poor air quality. We have approximately 9 states from New England to Wisconsin that have these air quality alerts. Temperatures for this afternoon will be climbing into the mid-80s. It'll be a little bit cooler by the shoreline of our Great Lakes. Partly starlit, hazy, still comfortable for tonight with some areas of fog developing. Overnight lows in the upper 50s and low 60s. Hazy sun with light winds for tomorrow. The high in the mid-80s, partly sunny on Wednesday with highs largely in the middle and upper 80s.
All right, Josh, thank you very much. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. So glad you've joined us today. Lots to get to, as Josh mentioned. Hazy skies caused by those Those Canadian wildfires led to some air quality alerts today. Smoke from hundreds of fires north of the border wafting our way, and that could be dangerous to those with compromised immune systems. Texas turmoil, that's the other big story today. Democrats have fled the Lone Star State to protest a redistricting bill.
We are here to fight for the millions of Texans who don't want Trump's Texas takeover.
More from correspondent Chris Fox.
51 Texas Democratic state reps fled the state for Chicago. The move is to prevent House Bill 4 from coming up for a vote on Monday. It's the newly redrawn congressional map authored by State Rep Todd Hunter.
Each of these newly drawn districts now trend Republican in political performance.
This map was politically based, and that's totally legal, totally allowed, and totally fair.
State House Democrats call this racial gerrymandering. State Rep Joe Moody.
Where we should be is back in Kerrville helping people. This is politics over people in the grossest way possible.
Chris Fox, Austin.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott's threatening to vacate the seats of every Democrat who left Texas unless they return to Texas by 3 o'clock this afternoon. A volcano in far eastern Russia has spewed hot ash nearly 4 miles into the sky. It happened yesterday, less than a week after a massive earthquake sparked a tsunami in that part of the world. It was the first eruption of that Russian volcano in almost 500 years. A magnitude 3 earthquake struck northern New Jersey yesterday. A number of people there reported feeling unnerved.
This was an explosion sound that sounded like something hit the house.
I'm sitting in my living room and the whole house shook.
The quake was felt as far away as Connecticut and New York City. A Central Ohio couple's made history after becoming parents to a baby who was frozen as an embryo more than 30 years ago. How about that? It sets the record for the longest frozen embryo ever to result in a live birth. Artificial intelligence is being used at car dealerships now. It's to spot safety and maintenance issues.
At Earnhardt Chevrolet, just outside Phoenix.
It's like an MRI for the vehicle.
The dealership is utilizing artificial intelligence with a high-tech scanner to catch every angle of a vehicle. Sales manager Dave Flores.
What we're looking for is any oil leaks, oil seepage, any broken shields.
The system got its start far from the automotive industry.
It actually started in Israel and made for bomb detection.
Hertz is using the technology to scan returned car rentals. Stephen Kaufman, Prescott, Arizona.
And scientists have discovered a new insect in Australia. Check this out. The stick bug is 15 inches long and weighs about as much as a golf ball. Can't kill that with a fly swatter. It was found in the high-altitude Atherton tablelands in North Queensland, and experts say it could be the biggest insect ever discovered in the land down under. You're listening to the Noon Report for a Monday on Family Life. This is Mission Pulse on Family Life. Mondays during the Noon Report, we spotlight ministries making a difference where you live, across the country, and around the world. This week, we're spotlighting a secular organization that fits that bill because it helps alleviate hunger in our big backyard. Our guest, Mary Jane Bray, with the Food Bank of the Southern Tier.
We serve 6 counties across the Southern Tier. We are responsible for Broome, Chemung, Steuben, Schuyler, Tompkins, and Tioga. It's about 4,000 square miles. As of the end of 2024, we were serving approximately 30 to 31,000 individuals a week.
Wow, that's amazing. People hear about this term food insecurity. When you say food insecurity, Mary Jane, what does that mean?
So the actual definition of food insecurity is the condition of not having access to sufficient food or food of an adequate quality to meet one's basic needs. So oftentimes, folks who are struggling with food insecurity are what used to be referred to as the working poor. Many of these individuals have jobs. It's just what they get paid at the end of the month. It isn't enough to cover all the bills. So it's not enough to put gas in in the car or pay for the rent or get the prescription that they need. And what falls off their list of priorities is usually food.
Yeah.
And these are the folks that reach out and seek assistance through our network of pantries to help feed themselves and their families.
Have you noticed food insecurity getting worse in the 6 counties that you serve? And if so, why is that?
Unfortunately, yes, food insecurity is on the rise, not only here, but across the United States. And, I wish I could say it was one reason. It's many reasons. It's death by 1,000 paper cuts, so to speak. It's the cost of food is high. Anybody who goes to a grocery store sees that. Although wages have improved post-COVID, they still aren't keeping pace with the cost of everything else in our lives.
Yeah. One of the big concerns with school out for summer, I know the kids are going to be going back here shortly. One of the many things the public school system provides is nutritious meals. And some kids, unfortunately, don't get that when school is out. Does the food bank at all help with the summer meal program, or is that an entirely separate thing?
So summer meals are run by each individual state, and they do receive funding, some federal funding, and then the states kick money into that as well. We promote summer meal locations. We are a big fan of the summer meal program. But what the food bank does to help address hunger for kids over the summer months is we have a program called our Kids Farmers Markets. We have locations across our 6 counties, and it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a farmer's market. It's set up with tables with fresh fruits and vegetables, and any child under the age of 18 can come to that market and go home with as much fruits and vegetables as they wish. They get to pick the fruits and vegetables out themselves, because studies have shown us that when a child walks over to a table and picks up the big purple vegetable, they're more likely to give it a try than if mom or dad or grandma or grandpa says, "No, eat this, trust me, you'll love it."
Well, when you figure out how to do that with kids, let me know, because I have a couple kids that they're not kids anymore. They're adults, and they still won't eat their vegetables. So I got to ask you another question that's very timely in the news. There are tariffs that are about to take effect. There's a lot of wringing of hands at the local level as to what this will mean to the price you pay for the stuff you buy, and that includes groceries. Food costs are astronomically high. Is this something that the food bank is preparing for in the weeks, months ahead?
Yes, it is something that we are very aware of and are also concerned about. We do expect there to be an increase of folks seeking our assistance, and we are trying our best to be prepared for that. We have also been affected by some recent cuts to the USDA commodities program. We are still not turning anybody away, but we do have access to less free food than we once did. Our goal is to help people to finding out if they might qualify for SNAP, which used to be called food stamps. New York State just passed for this budget year free school breakfast and lunch for everyone, which will be a big help once school gets back into session in September. And we're trying our best. We liken this to a hurricane that's spinning out in the middle of the ocean, and everybody knows it's there, and everybody sees, wow, that looks really bad. We're on land going, all right, how fast is it going to get here? When it gets here, how much damage is it going to do? Is it going to sit and spin over our area for hours and hours and hours? Is it going to be quick moving? We know the storm is coming. We just don't know how bad it's going to be yet.
That's a great analogy. There's a lot of unknown when it comes to these tariffs and how they might affect consumers. Can anybody just show up at one of your food distribution sites, or are there strict eligibility guidelines?
No, the food pantries, they're open to anybody. Elon Musk can show up and say, I need food, and they'll give him food.
Okay.
There's some very, very minor paperwork that folks have to fill out, but other than that, people show up, they can get the food that they need. The only restrictions might be, a pantry might say, today, please only take one bread item or one meat item, so that we know there's enough for everyone.
Awesome. And is there a website if folks want to learn more about the food bank, Mary Jane?
Absolutely. You can go to foodbankst.org. That's our website. You can access information on where a pantry or a meal site might be close to you. You can make a donation to the food bank, and every dollar donated really, really helps us get food into the hands of folks who are struggling.
That's Mary Jane Bray with the Food Bank of the Southern Tier for this week's edition of Mission Pulse on Family Life. Mondays during the Noon Report, we spotlight the ministries that are making a difference where you live, across the country, and around the world. And you can download all our Mission Pulse feature reports online anytime. Just go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or our website, familylife.org.
Here is the Family Life weather report. For this afternoon, more hazy sunshine pretty much from hilltop to lakeshore. Not too much of a breeze. And of course, that wildfire smoke creating poor air quality. We have approximately 9 states from New England to Wisconsin that have these air quality alerts. Temperatures for this afternoon will be climbing into the mid-80s. It'll be a little bit cooler by the shoreline of our Great Lakes. Partly starlit, hazy, still comfortable for tonight with some areas of fog developing. Overnight lows in the upper 50s and low 60s. Hazy sun with light winds for tomorrow. The high in the mid-80s, partly sunny on Wednesday with highs largely in the middle and upper 80s.
All right, thank you very much, Josh. And finally at noon, TripAdvisor is out today with its pick of the best amusement park in these United States. Can you guess the winner? Here's reporter Rob Martier.
Dollywood, the park co-founded by country music icon Dolly Parton, placed highest in the Best Amusement Park category. Dollywood beat out Disney World's Magic Kingdom, Disneyland, and Universal Studios on the 2025 list. TripAdvisor says the ranking is decided by above and beyond reviews and opinions from the TripAdvisor community over a 12-month period. When it comes to the best theme parks globally, Dollywood comes in at number 11 on the list. The number 1 theme park on the face of the planet, Ferrari World, Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. I'm Rob Martier.
All right. Thank you very much, Rob. And that's our world, the world we live in for Monday, the 4th day of August. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.